Good evening, Hatters. Thank you for joining the Stetson Alumni Office as we host a series of virtual meet and greets to introduce Dr. Rolke to our Hatter alumni and parents. I'm Rebecca Thomas, Director of Alumni and Parent Engagement, and it's my pleasure to be here with you and our panelists this evening. As we wait for all our guests to connect in, we'd love to get to know those of you who've joined us this evening. So I have a few fun questions to get us started. We have a chat box, so if you could go ahead and locate the questions box and toss in there maybe what your campus involvement was when you were a student at Stetson. So it could be Greek affiliation, it could be student orgs, academic fraternities, any of that. We'd love to hear what your campus involvement was. And if you're a Hatter parent, you can toss in the questions box what your Hatter students involved in. I'd love to see some of that feedback. And the second question in our questions box, you can toss in if you're a Hatter parent, a Hatter friend, or a Hatter alumni joining us tonight. Oh, great. We have someone who was let's see, Alpha Kappa Psi, a focus advisor, and a student assistant in the business management department. Very busy. I'm sure all those areas were appreciative of your involvement. Pi Beta Phi, and a founding member of the Women's Lacrosse Club. Wow, that's impressive. And also focus staff and wellness team, active also. Hi, Elaine, great to see you. Oh, I'm glad you're joining us tonight. Great. Okay, so we're gonna launch into a poll really quick that's gonna come up on the screen. So, Hatter alumni, which college school did you graduate out of? And if you're a Hatter parent, which college or school will your child graduate out of? So we have College of Law, College of Arts and Sciences, School of Business, and School of Music. So as we all get to know each other this evening, gathering some of this feedback, we'll have that up there for about 30 more seconds or so. Oh, welcome, Nancy. I'm glad you're here joining us tonight. Oh, Tri Delta, and on our advisory board for the Institute for Water and Environmental Resilience. And great, we have someone who was an AKA sorority counselor and an RA. Awesome, thanks for sharing. Julie, do you mind sharing the poll results with us? Great. Okay, so a lot of folks from the College of Arts and Sciences, welcome, but it seems like we're well represented across the board. So welcome everyone, and thank you for taking a minute to tell us a little bit more about yourselves. So one more quick question while our last Hatters join us. So give a shout out in the questions box with your graduating class year. And Hatter parents, you can also participate. Just share your child's graduating class year. And just remember, this is a question box that you'll be able to leverage throughout the evening with any questions or comments. We do host a little Q&A at the end with Dr. Rolke, and you'll leverage this questions box to submit your questions this evening. Great. Oh, hey, Rob. Good to see you too. Okay, class years 2010, 96, 98, 2016, 2009, 86, Alethea, good to see you too. We did a great event with you and Rob a few weeks back. Glad you're joining us. 1989, 2022, great. Oh, and 2024, so awesome. Some current students, some parents. 92, 94, 81, and 78. Well represented. Well, thank you all for sharing a bit about yourselves. It's nice to get to know each other here virtually, something we'd be doing in person, but obviously circumstances have forced us virtual. So, okay, I'd like to take a minute now to introduce our panelists for the evening. We have Mike Casey, Associate Director of Alumni Relations for Stetson University's College of Law campus. Renelle Tinsley Mason, class of 2000, and current Alumni Board President. Tara Hamilton, Executive Director of University Development Initiatives. And of course, please join us in giving a warm Hatter welcome to Dr. Christopher F. Rolke, PhD, who became Stetson's 10th president on July 1st, 2020.
Becca, thank you very, very much, and a warm welcome to Hatters out there, Hatter parents. Welcome, Atlanta. This is one of the larger groups we've had, so I thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us tonight. I'm delighted to meet and greet with you, even if it is in fact virtually. So thank you so very, very much. I hope that this webinar is finding you and your family safe and well. And I look forward in particular to our question and answer period that Becca will moderate. I encourage you to use the chat box, fire away. Every question is fair game, so thank you. I did want to take a moment before we get started. My remarks, by the way, will be brief. We'll then turn to some colleagues, and then I will give some additional remarks on the current Stetson University context. But first, you may be aware that through alumni correspondence, that we have had a tough week here on the Stetson University campus. And for those who are not aware, I apologize to be the bearer of this news, but we have lost a beloved member of our community, Professor Greg Sapp, also an alum. Greg died unexpectedly this weekend, and the campus is in mourning for sure. I only got an opportunity to meet Greg briefly. That was in the context of a faculty senate meeting. And I, however, did have an extraordinarily positive first impression. And I've learned more and more over the last several days about the greatness, frankly, of Greg Sapp. And again, words are not possible to really capture all that he contributed to our community. But I know he served on our alumni advisory board for many, many years and really just exuded kindness, which is a theme that we've had throughout our semester here. And hopefully throughout the year at Stetson. Greg, not only a revered professor, but a highly valued member of our community, and particularly with regards to social justice, with regard to civic engagement. He would take trips in collaboration with the College of Law to revisit important trips during the civil rights movement. And just last night, I had the profound privilege of being asked by the Office of Religious and Spiritual Life to talk about the importance of the word kindness in my own life. And that, again, a theme that we've had throughout the semester here. And as I reflected on my remarks, which, by the way, I titled my remarks, The Pedagogy of Kindness, which is that teachers that do, in fact, commit themselves to really understanding and learning about each and every one of their students, having high standards for them, but also understanding their individual strengths and letting those strengths shine within the classroom, listening carefully, being engaged in applying what it is that students are learning in real world settings. Well, those are the things that Greg Sapp did, and I think he was the epitome of the pedagogy of kindness. So we are certainly sad on campus, and I know many of you may have had Professor Sapp at one time or another, or your children have. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we're all certainly thinking about Greg and all that he has contributed to the Stetson community, not only as an alum, but as a beloved member of our community. So thank you for that. Thank you again for being here tonight. My remarks will be brief. I've been on the DeLand campus since June 15th. I came at the time when Florida was in fact the epicenter of this global pandemic. I did have to quarantine for 2 weeks because those were the rules at that time. I have been immersed in the Stetson University community, certainly well beyond the time I was introduced as Stetson's 10th president back in November of 2019. One of the benefits of this unfortunate circumstance of a global pandemic has been that President Emerita Wendy Libby invited me fully into the planning meetings, into the emergency response meetings that took place since February, as Stetson, I think, has tried to humanely and thoughtfully and smartly address issues of the global pandemic, in addition to addressing issues of racial unrest throughout our country and the socio-political division that I think all of us are in fact experiencing. So it's been my privilege and honor to be a part of those conversations. For those that are curious, President Emerita Wendy Libby has chosen to, in her retirement, live in DeLand, just 6 miles from campus, and she continues to be a valuable resource to our community as we embark in this presidential transition. Again, it's my deepest honor and privilege to be serving as number 10. I look forward to our ongoing conversations. And thank you again for staying engaged with Stetson. We need you more now than ever. And I'm delighted to be able to answer any questions you might have about my own thinking about education and about Stetson's future. So thank you again for the time. I'll now turn to my colleagues. I will turn off screen, but I'm going to pop back on around 6:30 for some additional remarks with a few quick slides. 5 or 6 slides that I'll go through quickly and really want to get to the meat of this evening, which is again the Q&A period. So again, thank you very much and go Hatters. Mike?
Thank you, President Roelke. Thank you for that. We appreciate it. As mentioned, I'm Mike Casey. I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Relations here at the College of Law. Dean Alexandre sends her regrets this evening. She had an unexpected conflict arise, and she's disappointed that she's not able to be with you. Although I want to thank everyone for being here this evening, I specifically wanted to welcome and say hello to our College of Law graduates. As I look at who's with us this evening, there are 2 people that I specifically wanted to say hello to. Alex Jagiella Litz, class of 04, I see is with us. She was very helpful in establishing the Edward D. Foreman Most Distinguished Student Award here at the College of Law that's given every year by the Foreman family. And it has achieved significant success as a trial team coach. I also noted hello to Eunice Luke, class of 1966. I had the pleasure of meeting Eunice at the 50th reunion a couple of years ago. She's been a tremendous friend of the institution, and I promised Patricia Toops if I saw you in the meeting this evening, I would say hello. So before I provide a quick campus update, I did just want to take a minute to recognize President Roelke for his strong leadership during what has been at times a very tumultuous and dynamic period for the university. I know that he has been working extremely long hours to ensure that our campuses are safe and that learning in the classroom continues uninterrupted. And all that while promoting a culture of empathy, civility, and kindness. And I know that he mentioned that, but keep that in mind. I'm sure it will come up again later. So my hat's off to you, President Roelke. Professor Bowman always encourages her students here at the College of Law to have 3 points when they're making presentations. So I will take her advice this evening, and I have 3 points to share with you. The first is that we had several openings here at the College of Law that were being filled by interim directors, and I'm happy that we now have 3 new professors. We have a few others, but 3 key roles here that have been filled since last spring. Professor Elizabeth Bowles has come on board as the director of our top-ranked Center for Excellence in Advocacy. Professor Roy Bieste is now the director of the Dolly and Homer Hand Law Library, and Professor Alicia Jackson now serves as director of academic success in Bar Prep. A second point I'd like to convey is that we now do have a business law concentration here at the College of Law for our JD students. It's different than the MBA, JD MBA program, it is a concentration with a strong focus on commercial law, taxation, and international business. So it's much like our elder law and environmental law, and also our social justice concentrations. And then finally, it's this has been a tough year for a lot of people, but I would suggest that the 2020 graduates have had it possibly at least equally as difficult as anyone else. And we're supporting our graduates in all the ways that we can. I know that Dean Alexandre has been working hard with the Florida Bar, advocating for our students. As some of you may know, the bar exam here in Florida had been postponed to October 13th. And she had also sent a letter out to all of our alumni. You may have received that, just encouraging businesses to go ahead and hire our students while they're waiting to sit for the bar so they can practice supervised. Also, we created a Stetson Law Student Emergency Fund. I know that the university also has a similar emergency fund set up, but that's been a real resource for both of our students and then also our recent grads. If you've not contributed to that and feel led to do so, please log on, and either the Land campus or here at Gulfport, we would gladly accept any contributions to those accounts. So with that, I turn it over to Becca.
Thanks, Mike. Well, our office hoped to have the opportunity to meet and interact with many of you in person this fall, but alas, COVID, so here we are. So with our safe social distancing parameters in place, our office has launched a series of alumni digital events and programs to help our Hatter alumni stay engaged and connected. So these initiatives give you easy access to resources so you can learn and discover ways to connect and engage with one another, and opportunities, of course, for you to continue to help support our current students. So our alumni office is also here to support you. We have got an open door policy. It's a virtual open door. So just remember your Stetson Hatter Network's 42,000 alumni strong, and we're happy to get you connected if you need that. So with that, I wanted to share a few upcoming programs that our alumni office has going on, so you can go ahead and get engaged where you feel called to do so. So the first program I want to share with you this evening is our virtual homecoming. Our homecoming is taking place November 6th through the 8th. We generally have homecoming around the same time of the year in person, but of course, we didn't want to miss this big event to gather this year, so we've just gone ahead and went virtual. So activities and events include a dean's panel, academic, multicultural, athletic, and social virtual workshops, and of course, time for you to reminisce with old friends. If your class year ends in a 0 or a 5, we'll also be celebrating you with a virtual class reunion. So folks who are in those class, you've probably received an email with a call to action to get involved. We'd love for you to help us plan your reunion event. And don't forget to join us for a nostalgic kickoff concert on Thursday, November 5th to launch the weekend of events. More information along with the event schedules will be coming out and registration at the end of this month. So be on the lookout for that. Next up, we have our regional events, which again generally happen in person, but we've transitioned them virtual. I saw a few of you in the questions box this evening have already joined us for these regional events, and we always appreciate that, and it's nice to see you again this evening. So in addition to general virtual events such as Facebook Live concerts and things you may see on our social accounts, our office is partnering with our alumni board members to continue bringing together our Hatter network in the different cities across the country. So these events give our Hatter community opportunity to participate in speed networking type events, trivia nights, fundraising focused events, academic based events, and much more. We promote these every Sunday on our social accounts, so make sure to give us a follow if you aren't already. we'll go ahead and drop in the questions box now our Instagram handle and Facebook. So we'd love for you to give us a follow and connect in to one of those events. Next up is our Webinar Wednesdays. If you're looking for an opportunity to give back to our current students, Webinar Wednesdays is for you. This is a program geared towards students and young alumni as they begin to navigate adulthood and the workplace. So if you're interested in hosting a workshop for students on an industry, career, lifestyle, or academic topic, reach out to our office specifically about getting involved with our Webinar Wednesday program. As an example, some of the webinar topics folks have done for us are focused around side hustles, freelancing, life as a digital nomad, creating self-security, entrepreneurship, and much more. So another program, which I know I skipped ahead. Some of us are happy to skip ahead and maybe get to 2021. So I figured I'd share an opportunity that happens the beginning of the year annually. So Leadership Stetson's a program that takes place the end of January. This program is designed to increase the number of Stetson alumni and parents actively engaged with the university and to develop our next generation of Stetson alumni leadership. So participants have the chance to learn more about Stetson, both the internal and external forces that affect our university's direction. We have a dean's panel that comes in and discussion with university administrators and a chance for you to participate in discussion about the future of Stetson, all while getting to network with fellow alumni and kind of reconnect with the university. So if that's something you're interested in, again, reach out to myself or our office. We'd love to share more. And if Leadership Stetson doesn't sound like it's enough for you, we do have our Stetson University Alumni Board. So the Alumni Board's comprised of members representing various class years, majors, backgrounds, professions, and geographic areas. So we do have board members who are representing across the country. So don't worry if you're not in the DeLand area and you're in Atlanta, you can still look to get involved. So their mission is to promote and develop enduring relationships between alumni and the university, while also fostering loyalty and philanthropic support. You'll actually have a chance to hear from our current Alumni Board President, Renelle Tinsley Mason, class of 2000, later this evening. So she'll be sharing a bit more. So at this time, I'd like to take a minute to post another poll and just collect alumni feedback around the programs we just shared and hear what you're most interested in maybe participating in or seeing more of. So which programs are you interested in? You can select more than one. So virtual homecoming, November 6th through the 8th. We have our regional virtual events, Webinar Wednesdays, which are student focused, Leadership Stetson, which is a little bit more of a deep dive in getting involved with the university. And then of course our alumni board, which serves as an advisory council to the university. So give you all a few more seconds to fill out our poll. Great, thank you all for sharing, taking our poll and providing us with the feedback. It always helps us gauge what types of programs you'd like to see and how we should continue proceeding to keep you all engaged. So we've also launched a redesigned website, so feel free to jump on and navigate around to learn more and stay connected. We're going to go ahead and drop the URL for our alumni website in the questions box. And then at this time, I'll turn it over to our current Alumni Board President, Renelle Tinsley Mason, class of 2000.
Thank you, Rebecca. I'd like to say a quick hello to Bill Gray. I understand he's online with us tonight. So hi, Bill. Great to see you. For all others joining us, Bill Gray is one of our former board members and alumni, and if I saw correctly, he may have 2 students at Stetson currently, class of 2022, I think it was, and 2024. So congratulations. I hope they're having a wonderful experience. Look forward to meeting them, hopefully before they graduate, if not, definitely afterwards. Thanks everybody for being here tonight, taking the time out of your evening. As Rebecca stated, I'm Renelle Tinsley Mason, the current president of the Stetson Alumni Board. I'm a graduate of the class of 2000 with a degree in marketing and management. While at Stetson, I was actively involved in the dance team Synchronicity, the Student Alumni Association, and I worked in the president's office as a student assistant under Doug Lee. I'm a certified paralegal and currently the senior corporate compliance paralegal for Masonite International Corporation in Tampa, Florida. Serving as the president of the Alumni Board has been an honor, and I'm continuously humbled by the dedication of our volunteers who spend an incredible amount of time lending their talents and treasures towards helping to make our Stetson a better place each and every day. Becoming president of the Alumni Board is truly one of the highlights of my life. I'm honored to be able to serve in such capacity for my alma mater. Many of you might be asking, what does the Alumni Board do? Well, this year, the board and the Alumni Office have been diligently working together to revamp board bylaws to guide us in a direction to help the university further its mission. Through this, we've refocused the work of the Alumni Board to drive tangible outcomes of the Office of Alumni and Development to align with the university priorities. In addition to creating clear direction through our bylaws, we've provided more structure through member selection and identifying responsibilities of our members. The board committees have also been redefined to drive focus areas such as fundraising, engagement, and serving a diverse body of alumni. With that, we have also added a multicultural committee with a chair. In partnership with the Alumni Office and staff, we as board members work to promote and develop enduring relationships between the alumni and university while fostering loyalty and philanthropic support. Our members host regional events across the country to develop a sense of community and foster a pride of our alma mater that further enhances the university's reputation. We hope that with each event, we engage alumni to nurture a spirit of service, loyalty, and engagement to Stetson and provide philanthropic support as advocates to the university. We also work to recognize and celebrate the accomplishments and achievements of our alumni, of which, if you have any recent accomplishments or achievements, please go to our website and make sure you update the Alumni Office. We're always looking for information on our alumni and would love to issue it in our magazine. Maybe you're content with the level of engagement to the university, but maybe you're looking for opportunity to get further involved. Well, now's your chance. Feel free to reach out to the Alumni Office or myself to get connected. Thank you so much for your time this evening. Go Hatters. And now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Tara Hamilton, Executive Director for University Development Initiatives.
Thank you, Renelle. Hello, everyone, and happy first day of fall. I hope you're experiencing a little less heat and humidity. We are here in Florida, and it's a welcomed change. So I'm excited to be here with you tonight as you experience firsthand the dynamic leadership of Dr. Roelke. And I'm also going to briefly share some good news as it relates to our recent fundraising success. So around this time last year, we were celebrating the completion of our 7-year Beyond Success to Significance campaign. We raised over $218 million, and this vastly exceeded our $200 million goal. So it was really something to celebrate. I'm just going to mention a few highlights that our generous donors helped us to accomplish. During the campaign, we received the single largest gift in Stetson history, $18 million for our new CC and Hyatt Brown Hall for Health and Innovation. You'll see on the screen a couple of renderings of the new building, and it will sit adjacent to Sage Hall. We endowed the Edmonds Scholarship Program, which is our prestigious full-ride academic scholarship. More students were also able to benefit from international study programs on both campuses, and we dedicated the David and Leanne Rinker Center for International Learning. Student research, writing, and academic success were enhanced through the Hollis Family Student Success Center, which is located on the second floor of our library. We renovated the Tinsley Room of Presser Hall in our School of Music. We endowed the Templeton Business Ethics Competition and the Centurion Sales Excellence Program, both within the School of Business Administration. The Veterans Law Institute was created, as were more externship experiences for our law students. And donors endowed our joint College of Law and undergraduate civil rights travel course, where students actually get to meet and walk in the footsteps of the Freedom Riders. The Marshall and Vera Lee Rinker Welcome Center now proudly welcomes prospective students and their families to campus. The Carleton Union Building was beautifully renovated and expanded by 40%. I personally think the Cub is a wonderful example of blending our historical architecture with the modern design to meet the needs of today's students. It's really a beautiful place. We also enhanced our Jewish campus community with the dedication of the newly remodeled Jeffrey and Diane Ginsburg Hillel House. The new Sandra Stetson Aquatic Center was made possible by John B. Stetson's granddaughter, and it's also home to our Institute for Water Environmental Resilience, as well as our men's and women's rowing teams. In the campaign, $18.8 million was raised to support Stetson athletics, including a new athletic training center and the addition of beach volleyball, lacrosse, and the return of Hatter football. And finally, over the past several months, we asked Hatter Nation to support our students most affected by the pandemic. And oh my goodness, the overwhelming care and concern you've demonstrated is truly humbling. Between the law and the DeLand campuses, we've raised over $644,000 in just a few short months to assist these students. Please know you have our deepest gratitude. These are all tremendous examples of generosity that support Stetson's mission and help our incredible students reach their full potential. We would not be the university we are today without the support of all of you. Thank you. And as we look beyond the challenges of 2020, we know that affordability and access will continue to be top of mind for many students and families. So we hope you will continue to support student scholarships as well as the Stetson Fund. And if you are able, please consider another gift to the COVID student emergency funds. We also hope some of you will consider establishing your own endowed fund. These types of funds truly leave a legacy at Stetson while also helping the university remain successful and significant for the next century. Thank you again for your continued support. It's so deeply appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you again soon in person. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over so you can hear from the guy that you came to the webinar for, Dr. Chris Roelke.
Tara, thank you very, very much. And again, it's my pleasure to be here. And again, I thank you for joining us. I wanted to give you just a brief background about who I am. I'm coming to Stetson after 21 years at Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York, where I served not only as a faculty member in the Department of Education, but also in many multidisciplinary programs, including environmental studies and American studies. And I'm delighted to be part of the faculty here at Stetson as well as a member of the Education Department and American Studies. So I'm delighted to be here. So 21 years at Vassar. Again, as I said earlier, arrived in DeLand on June 15th. I should also let you know, I love to tell people that I happened to be born in the very same city as John B. Stetson, Orange, New Jersey. And my sister is also the mother of a Stetson alumnus, Matthew Michael Euler, class of 2005. And for part of the year, my mother, who is 89 years old and has not been to a doctor for 35 years, knock on wood, pretty amazing woman, also lives in Melbourne, Florida for part of the year. So I have traveled to Central Florida regularly. I did get the chance to visit Stetson once prior to becoming a candidate to become your president, and it was because of my nephew, and I'm delighted now to be a part of the DeLand community. I'm the father of 3 children. Emma is 25 years old and is a second-year medical student at NYU Long Island School of Medicine. Julia Rolke is a second-year science educator and sustainability fellow and basketball coach at in Westport, Connecticut at Greens Farms Academy. And my daughter, Olivia Rolke, is 17 years old and is finishing up her high school experience. So we're delighted to be part of this community. I do have a few slides that I want to review with you, and then I'm really eager to get to the Q&A. The first is the whole notion of the Stetson community, and again, I'm honored to be part of it. I've been describing in my first few months here Stetson University community as scrappy, tenacious, empathic, caring, and absolutely resilient. This is indeed a once-in-a-century set of challenges that, in a higher education context, presents some really steep hills to climb. But this community has really, in a resounding kind of way, responded, and I want to talk more about that in just a moment. So again, delighted to be part of the Stetson community. And again, I've gotten to learn so much about this community in my accelerated listening and learning tour, in part because of the COVID-19 pandemic. As I mentioned earlier, I've been immersed since February, a lot of it remotely before I moved to DeLand, but immersed fully in the community's response, both at the College of Law and here on the DeLand campus in terms of our pandemic response. We made a couple, I think, very critical decisions with regard to the pandemic response. First of all, my kudos out to our students and to our families who have, again, proven to be scrappy, tenacious, and resilient in having to engage in their education in ways that we could not have predicted. We went all virtual last spring, as many of you know, and this fall, we made a critical decision as we were, again, right in the midst of this pandemic and still are, but in particular in Florida in the fall semester, we were the epicenter in the United States of this pandemic. And I think we made a critical decision to move to single occupancy residential experience for our students. And that was costly. As you know, we are a tuition and room and board driven institution, and that cost us about $4 million to go to that particular form of residential education. It turned out to be, I think, an absolutely correct decision because as expected, we did have a slight spike in COVID transmission when students first returned to campus. But because we were in single occupancy, we had the ability to meet their needs, to allow them to isolate and recuperate safely, to bring them food, to do the things we needed to do to allow them to move forward with their education. And I am delighted to report and certainly encourage you to continue to monitor this on our Safer Stetson website. We just had 176 PCR tests this past week with 0 positives. We just hope that that trend continues. I've been known as a bit of a broken record for the 4 W's, wearing masks, watching our distance, certainly watching our crowd size, and certainly washing our hands regularly throughout the day for at least 20 seconds. So I'm well known on campus for being a preacher with regard to those 4 W's. But I could not be more pleased with the way the community has responded. We have about 56% of our classes that are either in a virtual or hybrid format, and again, the remainder being face-to-face. And we fully recognize that this is not the complete Stetson education that all of our students are hoping for. But what has so impressed me has been the willingness, because of a sincere interest in returning to face-to-face. We are currently in Tier 1. We hope that if the public health context continues to cooperate, that we'll be able to move closer to what we all love and value about a Stetson education, much of it, of course, face-to-face. So needless to say, it's been certainly been a challenge, but we have stepped up to meet that challenge, I think, with flying colors in my first few months here, and I'm very, very proud of that. And it required a tremendous, tremendous effort, and including tremendous cooperation from parents, from families, from alumni, and most importantly, from our students and our faculty. Needless to say, this global pandemic is accompanied by, in my view, in my lifetime, and I don't mind sharing with you, I'm 55 years old, and this has been the most divisive socio-political context that I certainly experienced in my lifetime, with incidents around the country and with the tremendous protest response around the country as well. So we have to continue to keep our feet to the fire on Stetson's goals for inclusion and diversity. In fact, one of the reasons Michelle Alexandre can't be here tonight, and I just joined her for part of that call, is we are unveiling the second iteration of the Campus Climate Survey. I know we have a few recent alums on this call. The first iteration was in 2016, and we think it's important that we continue to take the pulse of the campus on the lived experience. And so we are committed to being transparent about what we learn from those campus climate surveys, whether it be along gender lines, whether it be along lines of race, class, sexual orientation, religious affiliation, political affiliation. And that is really exhaustive work and really, really important work. And I, as your new president, am eager to continue with the conversations on campus for how we can, again, promote inclusion and diversity, particularly in a socio-political context that is incredibly divisive. Needless to say, we did have to make some very difficult budgetary decisions in the context of COVID-19. As a room and board and tuition-driven institution, we had to prepare, and with collaboration with the board and with the faculty and with the administration, we did cut the 2021 budget by over $16 million. That's significant for a school of Stetson University's size. We did that through a process of collaboration and thoughtfulness, although there was urgency associated with it. So how do we do that? Well, we did that by freezing open positions. We did that by cutting operational budgets. We also asked every member of the community, including those that were contractual, to make reductions in their salary. I myself volunteered a 15% reduction in my salary before I even started because it was necessary to do so. I am delighted to report, although it's just one step in the right direction, because our enrollment figures, both at the undergraduate level and at the graduate level, and most certainly at the College of Law, far exceeded our expectations, given COVID-19, that we were able to postpone the salary reductions, which were to begin for non-executives on September 1st. We were able to postpone that through at least the end of this semester. We'll certainly revisit where we are financially when we take a census of our undergraduate and graduate populations in January. But again, I'm very pleased to report that for the people that, by the way, have worked above and beyond to make a Stetson education possible, that we are able to at least restore their salaries for the fall semester. Very, very significant. However, we have made the retirement contributions for every employee across the university to 0% contribution from Stetson University. And that is an expensive and important investment we make in the people that work here. And I thank everyone for the sacrifices they've made in order to balance our budget. I'm going to be overly simplistic in the 2021 priorities, but I hope that you'll appreciate them. The priorities in 2021 is to try to make our community as kind and as empathic as possible, and also giving individuals, students, faculty, and others as much agency as possible as we try to navigate this global pandemic, again, in as healthy a fashion and as kind a fashion as we can. So although those are simplistic priorities, I think they're the right ones. I think they have resonated certainly with the Stetson University community in the early months of my presidency. So we want to continue to promote a really moving that curve in the right direction with regard to COVID-19, making progress with regard to the socio-political context that I mentioned with the divisiveness that we see in our country and certainly experienced here in Florida. But we're also keeping our eye on the future, and there are lots of robust future opportunities for Stetson, not the least of which is to build on our strengths. One of the reasons I found Stetson so appealing as a presidential candidate was that Stetson seemed to be a place that really understood and was working diligently toward bridging any perceived or real gaps between theory and practice. So we have a strong desire to want to expand the opportunities for students to learn, to apply what it is they're learning in real world settings. That certainly has been hampered considerably by the COVID-19 pandemic, but we're very passionate about that. We are really serious about some property acquisitions in the DeLand community in order to move our enterprise forward. There are some strategic properties that we're trying to acquire as Stetson continues to grow substantially from perhaps the time when you were on campus in DeLand or at the College of Law. It was mentioned before, the very important initiative, the most ambitious initiative that Stetson has ever undertaken is the CCN Hyatt Brown Hall for Science and Innovation. That is in fact an ambitious project, but it's the right project at this time. Hyatt and CC, Hyatt still serves on the Board of Trustees, was very clear about their objective in this philanthropy, and that was to provide the opportunity, curricular opportunities for students so that they have the opportunity for high-paying jobs when they get out. And certainly the health field is one of those areas, and Stetson needs to be a player in this marketplace. So stay tuned, stay engaged, and again, we thank you for your support for these initiatives. That's just a few of the possibilities that lie ahead for Stetson. I think that we are situated in a state of Florida which is seeing population growth, and so Stetson needs to be a major player with regard to higher education, and doing so as a small private that has grown considerably over the last several years. It'll be interesting to see how higher education responds as a marketplace because of COVID-19. I want to assure you alums and parents out there that we are very well situated to capitalize on that environment, in part because of that resilience I referred to earlier, in part because of that kindness that I referred to earlier, and that innovative spirit that is permeating the Stetson University community. I'll stop there because the most important part of this time is the Q&A. And so I thank you for your time and for your indulgence on a few slides, but Rebecca, can you come back on the screen and let's jump into some Q&A?
Of course, great. Thank you, Dr. Rolke. And Atlanta alumni and parents, now's your time if you'd like to submit questions in our questions box. Go ahead and do so now. While we're waiting for those to come in, we did have a few folks who submitted questions prior to the event, so I'm going to go ahead and share a few of those now. Okay, so here's a hard ball coming right out of the gates. Okay, so Stetson has declined in the Wall Street Journal annual rankings since 2017, and also in Florida University rankings. So our alum recognizes different rankings use different criteria, and none are completely reliable. But what do you think has attributed to this decline? And what are your plans to assist in getting us back up in our rankings?
Sure, I appreciate the question. I'll try to tackle it, and also thinking through the College of Law as well. I don't mind sharing with you that the College of Law ranking has gone past used to be a top 100 in the rankings and is now at 104. But let me also say, still tremendous performance with regard to legal writing, tremendous performance with regard to trial advocacy. And so I'll answer the question this way, in that we do need to be attentive to the methodologies of these key ranking systems, because frankly, people do pay attention to them. I don't, certainly as your president, want to be obsessed with those rankings, but there are some rankings and some methodological components that are worth our attention, and I don't mind sharing a few of them with you. Our annual giving rate, which is an important, don't mean to start there on the philanthropic side when we need your resources, but I just also want to be candid and realistic with you. Our alumni giving rate is about 7.5% in total on the DeLand campus, and it's even lower in the College of Law. That's a problem. It's a problem for so many reasons, right? It suggests something about our level of alumni engagement, and Stetson, both at the College of Law and on the DeLand campus, have relied way too heavily, it seems to me, on a very small number of deeply engaged donors, right? So we do need to work on that metric. The other one that is DeLand specific is our retention rate. This is something that was made loud and clear to me throughout the presidential search, that when we do in fact recruit and admit a student and they start here at Stetson, we want to make sure that they can thrive at Stetson, and that we eliminate whatever barriers they might be to their path to a degree. That's hard work. That requires a lot of thoughtful consideration, but we want to make sure that, again, the lived experience here, and by the way, you're going to see me saying that term an awful lot, the lived experience. If we improve the lived experience of students on campus across demographic metrics, we're quite likely to get deeper alumni engagement over time, right? So I think not only can we chip away at some of those rankings, but we can also make sure that that lived experience is one that promotes tremendous loyalty to the institution and wanting you to come back. I see it as one of my primary tasks to work closely with the 42,000 alumni that are out there so I can better understand, in fact, their lived experience. What was terrific about it? What are some worries that you have about Stetson's future? I am, in fact, in an accelerated listening and learning tour, and I need to hear from you. But that's my quick answer on the rankings. We do need to pay attention to them. Certainly, our Board of Trustees wants to pay attention to them. At the same time, I don't think it's appropriate for us to be obsessed with them because we do know, and we have great faculty and great students, and we do know what we're doing. And so if we are driven only by those metrics, that's, I think, not the right way to go. But there are a few of those indicators that I think do need attention.
Great, thank you for your reply. Oh, and we have a few. Mickey's wants to share a shout out to all of his leadership Stetson grads who may be present. So thank you for dropping that in our box. Another question that's came in, I'm sure no pun intended. Dr. Libby, your predecessor, hung her hat on the idea of significance. Will you have a similarly focused vision or slogan to rally students, faculty, and staff behind?
It's a great question. And as I said before, what I'm trying to rally this community around at this moment is the notion of kindness. So that's not going to raise us the money we need, but I want you to know that that's the theme we've chosen for this fall semester out of necessity, and I think it's the right one. So I will say this, that you are rightfully, as alums and as parents and current or former students, expecting your president to develop a vision. But I also believe so strongly, and I really believe this, that strategic vision for an institution should be done collaboratively and collectively and not by a single appointed leader. So toward that end, I certainly have my ideas about things we can hang our hat on, but I really do need to understand better what the community's desires are. So I appreciate your indulgence in giving me some time to do that and to do the kind of strategic planning and branding, if you will. What can we hang our hat on? I think significance was a great theme, but I would rather have us do that work collectively before I announce the key themes. I'm not shy at all about the kindness one. I'm not shy at all about the empathy one. But in order to do some strategic planning and frankly some philanthropic work, that's going to take us a little bit of time. So thank you for the time.
All right. So we have a comment that came in. We look forward to seeing you, Dr. Roelke, next month at the advisory board meeting of the Institute of Water and Environmental Resilience. And then a question to go with it. Have you had time to think about how the Institute can be further integrated into the work of the university?
Sure. For those not familiar with it, this is an extraordinary new facility that was made possible by descendants of John B. Stetson, Sandra B. Stetson specifically. I don't know if B is her middle initial, Sandra Stetson. And I did visit the site during my visit and when I was announced as the president. It's an extraordinary facility. And what appeals to me so much about it, and you're going to get some hints here as to where I think Stetson can hang its hat in future work. It's such a phenomenal building because the rowing teams also compete out there. So here you have this sort of innovative, cutting edge research facility to talk about something so critical in our communities and right here in Florida, which is water quality and water resilience. And then you also have athletic competitions occurring and practices occurring. You also have a wonderful walking garden that you can walk through and learn about native plants in Florida. To me, that's beautiful because I think the future of higher education is in fact going to have to rely on integrative kinds of pedagogy and integrative kinds of thinking and integrative kinds of experiences. So I think that the Institute is a great example of that. I've mentioned before our desire to acquire some properties, strategic properties nearby. Some of that, frankly, involves some collaborations between the arts and our School of Business. So that's really profoundly exciting opportunities that lie ahead for us. They are going to require some resources, but even more importantly, it's going to require a commitment for some sustained conversations so we can all collectively determine what the future of a Stetson education might look like.
Great, thank you. We had a couple of nice comments come in here too around our adjustment with the housing situation. Someone has said, my freshman is happy with the king size bed, lofted bed. So we appreciate those notes. And Bill Gray, former board member, enjoys the emphasis on our on your statement around kindness and having it posted out in front of the Cub. So thank you for the comments.
I'd be remiss if I didn't capitalize on that lovely set of comments by saying that I have been trying to get as much mileage out of something I uttered at my introduction to the community. So Bill, thank you for that. And I have it in my head, so I'm going to say it again, which is that kindness not only matters, it enables us to listen, to engage with others unlike ourselves, and to consider paths we can forge together to make our community, in fact, the world, a better place. That's very self-indulgent to quote myself, but I have to say to those that haven't been to campus, I do believe that that kind of philosophy, that disposition, that way of being is in fact getting contagious on campus. It was here already, but to actually say the words and to actually make the push for acknowledging the importance of kindness in our context, I think is actually pretty important. So the disposition one brings as a leader is just as important in whatever policy they might implement. And so thank you, Bill, for that generous remark, and also for the comment from, I think, a parent or an alum that it's working so far with regard to the COVID-19 context. So thank you.
Great, and another one here. So as an alumni with children approaching their college years, what is the timeline for the expansion of the health sciences program? And has the building and program expansion been delayed by COVID?
Excellent question. And it was interesting, when I was a candidate, it was made known to me that this donation had been made and that there was hope to put spade in the ground sometime this fall. That's not going to happen because of COVID, in part. It's also not going to happen because I asked to pull the brakes on it. and it's not because I'm not ambitious and want to get this thing rolling. It's because I was not yet convinced or persuaded that we had the programmatic components of this health science initiative fully sorted out, nor did I think that the very important partnership that we want to have with Advent Health, which is the largest health provider in our region, that was fully sorted out. So having done a very ambitious project at Vassar around interdisciplinary science, I don't want to say I put the brakes on full stop, but I did want to understand better the programmatic components. In some ways, at Vassar, and I don't mean to draw so much from that experience, we had the curriculum in place and we had the programmatic objectives in place for many, many years, and our facilities were woeful. They were not even close to matching the curriculum, right? So we needed to get the facility to match the curriculum that was already being operationalized. In some ways at Stetson, I see this as a bit of a reverse, right? We've got these bold ambitions in the area of health sciences. And so we want to create the space and then sort of have the curriculum and the programmatic part catch up. What I'm trying to establish as your new president is a middle ground on that. I don't want to delay the spade in the ground, particularly in a time of uncertainty and so on and so forth. And this is a great, ambitious project, but I also want to make sure we get the program right so that this facility is rich, it's vibrant, it hits the ground running once it opens. So I hope that's an adequate answer at this time. The fundraising has been done, which is great. We have construction documents that are being developed, albeit at the same time where we're carefully monitoring what our competitors are doing in the health sciences and carefully monitoring the quality of what we have to offer in that space, and also the ongoing conversations with Advent Health. I'm delighted to report that I've become fast friends with the CEO of Advent Health, Daryl Toll, because it's important that they be partners with us as we move forward in making our curriculum be one that's rich, that's meaningful, and certainly to meet the objectives of our donors, which is that they have high-paying jobs on the other side.
Great. We have a question around and some information. So Atlanta is the 9th largest metro area in the country in population and a great market for Stetson. We hope you'll plan to spend some time here in the future. Will you have plans, post-COVID to get out on the road and visit some of these communities?
Absolutely. And I'm reading also the details of the question in the chat box, and thank you for it. One of the other things that was clear to me throughout the presidential search is that Stetson has had a tremendous reputation here within the state of Florida, and we still draw extensively from the state of Florida. In fact, 70% or more of our undergraduate students come from the state of Florida. There's nothing wrong with that. However, we do need to expand our geographic footprint for Stetson's future. And so we do need to find ourselves digging into the markets in the Northeast, in the West, in the Southeast, and certainly in the middle of the country as well, because not only because we want to expand that footprint for Stetson's financial health, but also because it provides for more vibrant education when you can draw from a wider geographic footprint, right? We have made good progress on the international front. That certainly has been made more difficult because of COVID-19. But I think I saw embedded in that question the desire to see Stetson expand its footprint, geographic footprint, and that's a goal I certainly share. And I look forward to meeting with alums around the country in various regions, including Atlanta, to see, again, learn more from you about Stetson's future and your ideas, your hopes, your aspirations for the university.
All right, and we're hitting 7 o'clock. I'll give you one more question to give everyone a last chance, and that might wrap it up for the evening. Okay, so happy to have you with us, Dr. Olkey. I'm curious what your future plans are for ensuring that Stetson University becomes a place that exemplifies diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what can we as alumni do to assist you in this endeavor?
That's a big one, and it's a tough one to answer in 1 minute. But I will say this, and I'll come back to the lived experience piece. The best way, it seems to me, for institutions of higher education to promote inclusion and diversity is as follows, which is to try diligently to meet the needs of particular communities, to provide ample opportunity for intellectual and multicultural exchange of ideas and experiences, with the goal of making sure that we have a community that is mutually respectful and also engaged in a pluralistic way. Those are a lot of words, but those are the 3 ways I like to think about inclusion and diversity. Meet the needs of particular communities, regardless of what their identities might be, to provide ample opportunity for multicultural and intellectual exchange around ideas and experiences, with the goal, again, of having a mutually respectful place that really aspires to be engaged pluralistically. That's really how I view those things. And by the way, so far, because we have launched the reveal of our 2nd iteration of the Campus Climate Survey, I believe Stetson is very well situated to pursue those 3 components of what I think is an inclusive community. So I hope that's an adequate answer at this time. I will also say that those efforts are not free. They do require resources. So if I'm not being shy about this, and I haven't been shy with the Board of Trustees about this. In my experience at Vassar, which underwent its 2nd most dramatic demographic shift in its history during my time as Dean of the College there, that was intentional, with more significant commitments to financial aid, with more significant commitments to 1st-generation college students, with more significant investments being made to those that have been traditionally underrepresented at Vassar. Well, that bold commitment was made just prior to the Great Recession. The Great Recession, which meant that we had fewer resources in which to meet the needs of that new demographic. Do you follow me? So that you can't answer that because we're virtual, but I'm hoping that I'm seeing some nodding of heads somewhere. In other words, this does need to be resourced. This does require resources to make sure that we meet the needs of those that have been traditionally underrepresented. And that is not cheap. That's expensive. That's expensive in the form of financial aid. That's expensive in the form of advising. That's expensive in going out and recruiting faculty and administrators and staff that are a better reflection of the nation's demographics. So I'm not shy about that. This does require, in order to achieve what I just described, meeting the needs of the particular communities that we serve, providing ample opportunities for multicultural exchange, with the goal of engaged pluralism, that does require some reinvestment. It does require some reallocation of existing resources, and that is not easy to do, but I am committed to doing it.
Great. Well, we have one last question that came in. Do you have a few extra minutes?
I have as much time as the people on the screen have.
Okay.
Because this is important. It's important. You are important as alums and parents and friends of the university. So I'm willing to tolerate as much as everyone else on the screen is willing to tolerate.
We have one last one that came in while you're wrapping up, and then we'll turn it over to your final remarks for the evening. So, with a higher than average rate of students who are affiliated with fraternity and sorority groups, what are your views on engaging with that community to help solve campus issues?
Sure. First, I should acknowledge that I was not myself a member of a fraternity and certainly not of a sorority as an undergraduate, although I did meet my wife at Wesleyan University as undergraduates as resident advisors. So I have a rich history in terms of campus life, and I'm very passionate about campus life. And my early take, although I have not had the opportunity to actually visit the fraternities and sororities because of COVID, my early take is that there's a lot of great things that emerge from our fraternities and sororities. I talked earlier about the loyalty to the university, and some of the strongest loyalty we receive is from, in fact, those that have participated in fraternities and sororities. I will say this, and I need more data to really fully understand it. We do have a decline happening in terms of students wanting to be part of a fraternity or sorority. So in other words, we have had in the most recent years have filled some of our empty beds in fraternities and sororities with non-fraternity and non-sorority people, right? So that requires us to be thinking creatively about what's going on, right? Why is this not as appealing perhaps for, at least in terms of residential living, for some of our undergraduate students? So I think there's a lot of open questions, interesting ones and important ones about Greek life at Stetson. So again, an inadequate answer to your question, in part because we're still trying to understand better what in fact is going on with regard to student interest and student engagement with fraternity and sorority life. Let me also say this is not disconnected from the retention issue that I referred to earlier. The retention rate, that is the students that are staying at Stetson and finishing at Stetson, a much higher proportion of them are affiliated with a fraternity or a sorority. That to me suggests something about their engagement, their level of community engagement. So there are a lot of positive things that we have to look at, but there's also some things that we also have to confront, which is again, what's going on with regard to overall student interest in joining a fraternity and sorority, and moreover, what is going on with regard to their decline in interest in living within a fraternity or a sorority. So I hope that's adequate at this point in time. Somebody reminded me today that I'm in my 84th day as president of Stetson University. And I asked, does that include weekends? And that does include weekends. So you might even suggest that I have fewer days under my belt, but they have been joyful days. And this is my conclusion, Becca. They have been joyful days. They have been energizing days. They have been long days. But I have really want to reiterate something that I said at the outset, which is really sincere and in my heart, is that this is in fact the deepest honor and privilege of my professional life to be serving as your 10th president. And I may, with all humility, say to you that I think this has been a great match. It's been a great match. I'll speak for myself, and the jury is out on whether or not you think it's a great match. But for me, it's been a great match for the things that I care about, what I think Stetson's needs are, the kind of leadership that I think will help move the institution forward. So I've been fond of saying, and I believe this, that Wendy Libby was the right president at the right time, and I think I'm the right president at the right time now. So it's with all humility that I make that assertion.
Great.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to just simply say, stay safe and stay well, and please do continue to stay engaged with Stetson. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to be with us tonight. Thank you so very much. Go Hatters.